If you're active over on Instagram, you probably already know that there's so many things with the platform that can be very annoying. But there's one thing in particular that I think many aspiring content creators can't get past, and it's one thing that is super annoying for all of us. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about what this really annoying aspect is and why so many aspiring content creators actually give up on the platform altogether. But if you're new here, my name is Kaylee and I'm a beauty and fashion photographer based near Sydney, Australia. I'm also a content creator though, and I started this channel a few years ago to talk about all things business, social media, content creation, and freelancing. And in today's video, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about the most annoying thing on Instagram and how you can kind of try to avoid it as well. So in terms of what the most frustrating thing about Instagram is for many smaller content creators, the most annoying thing is stagnant growth. And this is where you feel you're essentially getting nowhere with your follower count. I think we've all been there. I'm currently in this position at the moment. I have roughly 1,800 followers on Instagram, and I feel like I've been there for about 2 months. And the worst part about that is I was posting daily last month, so I've barely budged in my follower count at all. So I definitely have experience with this, and I've also experienced it with my other photography account that I've had for well over 10 years now. It is something that has been a very common thing even over the last decade with Instagram. I think a lot of people face this, and it's very frustrating because there's many tactics as we can actually talk about in terms of making that figure budge and actually growing your Instagram account. There's no surefire way to actually do it. You just kind of have to do as much as you possibly can and hope for the best in the end, because the Instagram algorithm is a bit of an enigma for most of us and it is constantly changing. So I often try and put tips videos on here as soon as I notice changes with the Instagram algorithm. I am first to come to this channel and be like, oh my God, the algorithm's changed. Like, this is what you maybe should be doing to start growing your follower account, or this is what you should be doing to get more engagement, things like that. So as much as I try to do that, I still feel that at certain times you are going to hit this wall with Instagram where you are not growing at all. And the worst part of this is the situation I am currently going through, where you will actually grow 5 or 10 followers in a day, and then you'll look at your account next day and you're minus 10 followers on what you were the previous day, maybe even more. So that is probably the most frustrating part about it for me. It's not even just stagnant growth. Sometimes it actually goes in the opposite direction, even though you're posting daily and you're trying to do your best. I think that there's still always going to be those time frames where you hit that stagnant growth on Instagram, and it is so infuriating. So I'd like to say that I have a lot of advice with this and a lot of things that you can do to kind of avoid this. I did mention at the beginning of the video that I would like to talk about a couple of things where you can try to avoid that happening. Now, it is still not a surefire way, but I think, like I was saying before as well, it's so important to give yourself the best chance of growth at least. So then no matter if you hit this kind of stagnant wall, if you can kind of push through at some point or another and you keep posting, keep staying consistent, then hopefully you will start to grow your Instagram account again. But I will say that stagnant growth is one of those things with Instagram that just seems to be commonplace, and it always has been. And it's very frustrating to the point where I think a lot of smaller creators just completely give up on the platform, and I totally understand why they do it as well. It is very frustrating to put a lot of time and effort into your Instagram account only to get nothing in return for it. But personally, I feel like I've been on Instagram so long now and doing so many different ventures on it, whether it's been for my own photography business, whether it's been for my travel content creation. I feel that I've been on there long enough now that the stagnant growth, although it's annoying, it doesn't kind of deter me from posting, and it doesn't deter me from trying to still reach some of my goals, because I know that you can eventually push through it. It often just takes a matter of time. And I think before we get into some of the things that I feel you can kind of do to help avoid it or to help kind of push through in that situation, I do want to talk about an analogy that has always stuck with me. And actually, one of my subscribers recently had been saying that she'd hit this sort of stagnant growth where she wasn't feeling like she was moving anywhere with her follower count, and she just wasn't feeling like she was getting enough out of Instagram. And I did think about this quote then, and I think it's a really important one to remember for all creators in so many different situations. But someone actually once told me that quite often humans are like a seed, or a seed being planted. And as we all know, when you plant a seed in the soil, you really can't see it anymore. You can't see how much it's grown. You can't see when it's about to break through the surface of the soil. And humans can be very much the same in how they achieve their dreams and goals and how they work towards them. Sometimes there's so much growth that can't even be seen, and it is still beneath the surface of the soil. And you could be this close to to a breakthrough and feel like you're ready to quit. And because you can't see that growth, you feel like you haven't made progress. So I think it's always good to remember this analogy and just think, well, hey, maybe if I just keep going, I could be close to that breakthrough. I could be really close to essentially coming through the soil and really sprouting and actually starting to bloom. So I think that that's a really good way to remember things as a creator. Sometimes we do lose sight of that fact, and things like follower counts on Instagram can get so frustrating for us where we feel like giving up. But it's not all about that. I'm also pleased to say that it's not all about follower count, and you can do a lot with your Instagram accounts and your content creation in general, even with a smaller follower count. So that's really important to remember too. Always remember that you might be this close to a breakthrough, so it's important to keep going. I think that's the main thing. You could essentially be one reel or one post away from blowing up your Instagram account, even though it doesn't feel like that at times, but the possibility is always there. So in terms of talking about a few of the things that you can do to kind of avoid this situation or to try and help yourself push through it, number one is to keep posting. And the other thing that goes along with this is consistency. Now, I know I sound like a broken record when I talk about consistency. I feel like I mention it all the time on my channel, but consistency is so key. Now, I'm not saying that you have to post daily, that you have to post 5 times a day or anything like that. You could post a couple of times a week. Whatever schedule works for you is the best schedule. And whatever schedule is going to suit your lifestyle, whether you have a full-time job on the side, you may not want to post too many times in the week or have the time to. So even if it's just a couple of times a week that you schedule in a couple of posts on Instagram, I think that it's really important to just stay active and stay consistent. Just keep posting when those moments of stagnant growth come, because eventually they usually do pass and you just need to kind of push through with your posts. Instagram overall does reward people being active on the platform. So this is really what I'm centering some of these points around now. So especially with this second point, I feel like it's really important to think about improving a little bit with every post that you make. Sometimes if your follower count is a bit stagnant, it can be due to the fact of having absolutely no reason, like that can be just Instagram at times, but it can also be the fact that maybe you're not reaching the right audience, maybe you need to switch up your content a little bit more, or maybe you just need to kind of have those little bits of improvement with your content to really keep pushing in that way. So I think it's always good to remember to kind of try and improve with every post that you make. So even if you just do something a little bit different as well with every post, for example, if you're posting mainly aesthetic reels, maybe try posting a tips reel, or maybe just try doing something a little bit different or a little bit more improved in the video. Maybe if you don't usually color grade your videos, maybe just try color grading a video or a reel to put onto Instagram. It's just little things that you can try with each post to really make your work stand out more and obviously improve your skill sets as well. Because as we all know, there's quite a lot of skills involved with Instagram. I know a lot of people would like to say that content creators do nothing and they just sit on their butts all day and post photos to Instagram, but there's actually quite a lot for content creators to consider, and that could be to do with writing in captions, that could be due to editing, whether it's photo editing or video editing, and even just capturing the content in general. So always remember and think about ways that you can improve that. It's also important to experiment with your content a little bit more. If you feel like you're not getting the gains that you would like with your Instagram account, it is important to make sure you're covering different bases to see if just the content that you're posting isn't maybe quite right for the audience that you have or that you're getting. It's just good to really start experimenting with this kind of thing and make sure that you're kind of covering all bases again. Like, I feel like this goes in very well with the last point about trying something a little bit different. So experimentation with your content is always a really good way to try and push through the stagnant growth sometimes. And then the last point is to engage. So again, I feel like I sound like a broken record when I talk about engagement on Instagram, but I do feel that this is one of the most important points to growing your Instagram account. And this is one of the ways that you are then in turn going to be getting engagement on your posts, which will then in turn hopefully get Instagram recommending your content to other people in similar fields. And the more engagement you get on your reels and your posts, it's going to be more likely recommended to a lot more people, and hopefully you will get a lot more reach from that. But not only that, it's really good to start forming a little bit of a community over on Instagram. It's nice to talk with other people in your niche, maybe start communicating with brands that you want to work with and trying to engage on their accounts too. It is really good just to engage and to comment nice things on other people's work. So then hopefully maybe in turn they'll comment on yours and you'll start to kind of form that little bit of a community. It's a really lovely feeling fun, and it does bring that social back into social media. I think there was a long time there where I just wasn't doing that. I was waiting for everyone to come see my work, and I wasn't engaging with anyone else. I wasn't commenting on anyone else's work. And I think about that now, and I'm kind of like, that's kind of sad and kind of like a weird move for me to do that, since it is social media, and that's kind of the point, is to be social and to talk with others and to kind of get different perspectives. I think that it's great to form communities, and it's a really lovely feeling when you feel like you're all growing together. And yeah, I just really like that idea of social media, because I think it's got such a bad name for itself, especially Instagram these days and TikTok. But you know, the community factor is something that you can really get back onto Instagram, and that is by engaging with others. So that is a few of my tips for stagnant growth and trying to push through it. And look, there are going to be times where you might have months of stagnant growth. Like, I feel like I'm in that era right now. I'm in my stagnant growth era, unfortunately, with Instagram. It's not fun, but you know what? I'm still making things happen, and I'm going to talk about some of those things in other videos. And I do still feel like I'm moving forward. And again, I'm always thinking about that seed analogy. Maybe I just haven't quite had my breakthrough yet, but it could be coming. It's just a matter of finding out when, and I've got to keep posting to find that out. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, make sure you do, because I'll be posting a lot more videos in future. Let me know down in the comment section what you think about Instagram and stagnant growth. And are you experiencing this right now, or have you experienced it in the past? I'm assuming I'm going to get a lot of yeses because I feel like we've all gone through that. And yeah, as I said, this is something I'm currently going through right now, so it's especially annoying right now for me. But let me know down in the comments how you're dealing with it, or how you've dealt with it in the past. Maybe you have some tips. Definitely let me know in the comments section below. Also, feel free to let me know down in the comment section what you'd like to see on my channel next and what you would like me to talk about. I'm definitely open to talking about more subjects like this and more topics around social media and business and the like. So definitely let me know if you've got any ideas down in the comments. But thank you so much as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.